What drives someone to change the world? Welcome to Social Trailblazers, where we seek to answer just that question. Join Kelly Gagnon, CEO of Nonprofit Marketing Nerd, as she interviews leading social innovators and nonprofit changemakers. This podcast is brought to you by DonorBox, the easiest way for nonprofits to rock their online donations.
Welcome to Social Trailblazers, where we dive into candid conversations with social impact innovators and nonprofit changemakers. Today, I'm thrilled with our very special guest, Keyari Page. She is really, truly an inspiring storyteller that focuses on sharing stories that aren't often told across continents and cultures. From leading a groundbreaking student journalism column in Decatur, Illinois, to navigating life as a migrant worker in the UK, Keyari has dedicated her career to amplifying the voices that are often go unheard. She is the creative force behind powerful projects like Spiritbound and her upcoming series, Hands Up, Don't Speak, a podcast which delves into the emotional impact of incarceration on families across the US and UK. I am so excited to sit down and learn more about Keyari's journey, the challenges she's faced, and to share with you the many, many untold stories that she's already been able to bring to light early on in her career. Okay, thank you so much for coming, Keyari. We are so excited to have you on Social Trailblazers. And for those of you that are just joining in, I did tell Keyari offline before, this is our first recording. So even though you might be listening to this a little bit later after launch, Keyari is officially the first recording. So I hope that she gives me grace with this recording, and I hope you do as well. So Keyari, thank you so much for joining and gracing us with your mind on Social Trailblazers. Full confession, I think I first became aware of you, and I'm trying to figure out when did I start following you? When did I meet you? When did I interact with you? And I think it was when you were a student at Richland Community College in Decatur, Illinois. Is that correct?
I believe so. Honestly, I feel like our paths have crossed a lot in the Decatur community because I was very active in Decatur before I moved to London. So we saw each other a lot at events, especially at women empowering events. And then you saw me spoke sometimes or receive awards for my community activism or just simply doing my talent of media and journalism. And ever since then, we just have kept in contact. So it's just really huge to even be a part here today and to be speaking with you about what I been up to and just catching up with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would love if you can go back to the beginning of your roots in journalism and storytelling. I'm going to probably botch what's pronounced the communicator. Is that correct? Communicator?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you were what was your role at the communicator at Richland?
Yeah, so at Richland, the communicator became a part of Media Club, which with the faculty advisor was Dr. Sherrod, and I became president. So I was essentially president of Media Club and a communicator. And in that role, I was basically overseeing all the operations, overseeing all of our publishing material, what we're going to be doing as a club actively on campus involving media relations and whatnot. But to be honest, I did not want to become president because it was my first year at Richland, and I came from a hardship from when I came from film college from another college in Missouri. And I was like, I just don't want to do any activities. I'm just trying to get that degree and I'm out of here. I'm going to move on. And someone sought me out and was like, yeah, you're going to be president. You're going to replace me. And I was like, no, honey, that's not the time for it. And she was like, no, you are. Email this professor, tell her that you're interested in media and journalism. You're going to be studying there. And all of a sudden, I met her, and it was so funny because when I finally saw her face, I was like, oh, you have saw me perform already. She actually introduced me at an event, and I was like, oh my gosh, I met Dr. Sherrod. I didn't even know that was Dr. Sherrod. And I was freaking out, so nervous. And I was like, she can't want me as president. Come on, I just got here. And then we had votes and elections, and she was like, yeah, congratulations, you won. I was like, let me get my degree. So I really just stumbled upon my lap. But since I joined Media Club, that really expanded me to multiple things at Richland. I got to become communications director of Black Student Association, vice president of Student Government Association as well, and really embedded myself into the community. And I am forever grateful for my experience at Richland, for meeting Dr. Sherrod, for her pushing me and believing in me when I did not believe in myself, and also to Professor Hawkins, who is now Dr. Hawkins as well. Great to have her by my side to really develop the skills that I had doubts within myself that I didn't thought I could carry, or I always called Richland like my reset period, where I really discovered that my talent is truly in media and journalism, and telling this storytelling and empowering other people to go after what they want. And that's essentially what pivoted me onto where I am now. And it's just an amazing experience.
Yeah, and where you are now is I believe you mentioned that you're currently living and working in London, and you also had, and I'm currently in Mexico. And so I know we've both had our roots in Central Illinois and our different places, but I would love to hear a little bit more about cross-cultural, you've had a lot of experiences in different places, Germany, Central Illinois, London. What have you learned from that? How do you think cross-cultural experiences have really enhanced your storytelling skills?
I believe it's because I had to learn to be flexible and to learn about each culture while I was living in it. So when I was in Germany, I lived with a host family. They were amazing, and they were very multilingual. They knew French, they knew German, they knew English, and they were even one of my host sisters was in Hong Kong at the time that I was there. And that experience taught me to really just be brave, because for one, I only met the host brother once, and when he was in Decatur, and then to turn around to live with him for a couple of weeks, it was well, hold on now, what's going on? But I think embedding myself into the culture and allowing myself to learn has helped me to tell that storytelling, and allowing myself to be appreciative and respectful to the cultures that I come across with, and understanding that just because I experience some things, it may not be true for other people. And I just really think that it's so important for anyone considering wanting to move across countries, or even just moving across states, if you're just staying in the state, is to really allow yourself grace and to learn, because the way of workings and the way you communicate with other people it's not the same how you grew up. And it also is it's such a uncomfortable situation to be in, especially when you're all alone and you don't have that safety net of falling back on your family. And it's just really important to just learn about the culture and just fully admit that when you made a mistake or you made a comment that wasn't very nice, because it's simply just because of the fact that you are in such a new culture. But in caveat to that is sometimes you don't be given that grace back, because a lot of people has come to me when I first moved here about, oh, you're American? And it was right after Trump won the election. And they were like, so did you vote for Trump? I don't like American journalism, and all these negative connotations. And because again, it's the culture that I am currently in right now doesn't believe in how Americans do journalism, is very much I trust my source, news. And so that's absolutely fine. But I feel it's building those relationships, building those trust, and really just embedding yourself to the culture.
Awesome. No, I totally agree with you that anyone, I in my early 20s moved to Japan for a couple of years. Right now I'm in Mexico, and I've traveled around Europe over the last couple of years. And I truly do believe, and I love, Keyari, that you said, maybe it's just a state over, but putting yourself in a different or out of your comfort zone environment will help people grow, and especially will probably help people have more empathy for humans as a whole if they put themselves in more diverse environments.
This episode is brought to you by DonorBox, the online fundraising platform that streamlines your process, elevates your donations, and ensures a user-friendly experience for your supporters. Explore the world of simplified, seamless fundraising at donorbox.org today.
Yeah, I'd love to kind of chat with you a little about one of your, and I don't want to say passion projects, because I know that this is going to be a big thing, but it's newer, right now. So tell me a little bit about Spirit Bound. What is it? Why did you start it?
Yeah, so Spirit Bound is what I released last year, and I'm currently working on season 2 of it, hoping to release this year. And it's about exploring spirituality through paths to share experiences to empower limitless possibilities. And it's just making awareness that it's just not Christianity that you can practice and believe in. You can believe in all types of religions or faith-based practices that can really just encourage people to explore, be comfortable with it, or decide that maybe spirituality is not for you. It's just more of an informational podcast to get comfortable about the topics of religion and faith-based practicing, because we do live in a world today that a lot of people may get violent responses or not nice responses to people who believe in a certain ideology. And I just want to break that back to actually create an environment in a community that's safe for everyone to come together to talk about it and be open. And I'm so lucky that Transmission Roundhouse gave me the platform and the opportunity to work with them in partnership to produce that. And in turn, that I'm working with new projects with Transmission Roundhouse, and also a new project with another opportunity. So this has definitely have grown me and honed my skills and really, launched into my career of being a freelance audio producer and podcaster and presenter.
Awesome. And I would love to hear, I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but for listeners right now, what episode, if people are like, I'd like to check out Spirit Bound, do you have an episode off the top of your head that you would recommend people listen to as an introduction?
To understand the why I produce Spirit Bound, I definitely encourage you to listen to the intro so you get a feel for what my purpose is, why I did it, versus you jumping right into the episode. The overall episodes are a journey within itself, but they also can stand alone and tell that story. So if you're looking for a particular subject, or if you want to hear the overarching story, you can. It's very flexible and adaptable for that way. I will say the episodes are very, very long because we do cover heavy topics, and like we cannot just glass over it or just have like a 30-minute podcast. They're closer to an hour. So give yourself that time and grace to really get into it and to really engage with the audio. And I'm always taking feedback or questions on it. But if you have like, I didn't know that, like I'm always engaging with people who have listened.
And speaking of, you said producing and feedback, I'd love to learn what you've learned maybe about yourself in producing Spirit Bound.
It was a lot because with this particular project with Transmission Roundhouse is that you end up pitching the project that you want to produce over the course. And then you do a course with them to really understand the background and the purpose of podcasting, how you can monetize it, how you should be publicizing it, or if you eventually want to leave Transmission Roundhouse, how you can do that as well. And you have all the rights in your name. So we did like a crash course of podcasting before we actually start producing our podcast. But we use our podcast as like the tester, like the subject, to be able to build it out. So we talked about scripting, editing, engaging with audiences, how to find interview guests. Like when you're especially on a budget or free $99, you have to be able to learn how to do these things and really get out of your comfort zone and be able to produce that and have all the rights, especially as young as I am, is amazing. And I'm so honored that, again, that my pitch got picked up, because that was crazy. And then to be able to produce it and be renewed for a second season is really a competitive market in the audio industry. And so like just to know that like my topics matter and resonated with the community that I have created, and that people are itching for more in this partnership is like, yes, let's do it again, is super great. And I'm forever thankful for Transmission Roundhouse to give me the platform to be able to talk about these matters and give me a platform to be able to hone these skills. And it takes time to learn to adapt to it and to be able to engage with their content, because you go through imposter syndrome sometimes when you're first starting out a podcast, because you don't know if it's going to be good. But what they have always told me and what I can share is that when you produce season 1, there's going to be some things that you want to change. That's just the nature of the game. And you're going to be like, I don't like the way I look now. I don't like the way I sound too cheesy. Mm-hmm. And then like for season 2, you get better. So like the mindset is each season that you produce your passion for the story that you want to tell, you are going to be able to improve on it over time. It's just not going to happen overnight. You're not going to catch all the mistakes.
Yeah. And speaking of, you mentioned that one of the new projects that's been picked up, which honestly is one of the reasons that I decided to invite you on, because it really resonates with a lot of nonprofit marketing nerds, nonprofit clients in who they serve, is your upcoming project, Hands Up, Don't Speak. Could you share a little bit more about what that is and kind of maybe give us a behind the scenes of like maybe when it's coming out or where you're at with that?
Yeah, so Hands Up, Don't Speak is actually a concept that I pitched to City University London. And this was for me to become the podcaster in residence for their campus. And surprise, surprise, I got selected to be a podcaster in residence. So I'm officially the podcaster in residence for City University London for the 2024-2025 academic term. And with that, the agreement is that I do a project with them. So this particular project, Hands Up, Don't Speak, is focusing on women, particularly minority women who have a loved one, a family member, a partner, a friend that has been incarcerated, and to get their experience on how it was when they were visiting them, or if they were trying to get them on bail, or if they been writing letters to them or had to take the calls to collect calls, and really comparing the justice system between the U.S. and the UK and seeing if there are any similarities, because right now in the world that we live in, like we have riots going on in the UK, riots were just happening. And then we also see like a lot of police brutality still in America, and even just conversations around that. So I wanted to shed light, but give it in a different perspective, because a lot of podcasts do highlight the incarcerated, but they don't highlight the families. And this was a personal one for me, because I always have family members that have been in prison, saw them being in prison, and some even unjustly in prison as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just to give those women a platform to speak on it, and to be able to feel safe and to be heard, and to be like, this is my experience and this is why I have done what I've done to make the person's life. And it doesn't matter if they were guilty or not of the crime. It's just the fact that I know when visiting a loved one of mine in prison, like I was patted down, like I was the one in jail, like I was the one in prison, and that didn't make me feel good. It made me feel so scared. Or like when I had to use the restroom in the middle of the visit, like they locked the restroom door, and then when I came out, like they pat me down again. And me never been in trouble with the law. That was such an experience that when I came back, like I physically felt sick, and I had a couple of days to recoup, and I was right back off to school again when I had that first experience. So it's I would say for women, especially if you have like a family member or a partner, it can be very traumatizing for them, and it's not talked about enough. And I just think like with this and with all the chaos in the world, it's a great time to shed that to light and to again create that community where people can like feel comfort and have that support in one another, and to know that like they're not alone in this journey, whether they decide to share or just listen. It's simply just a way to bring it up again and to highlight an issue that has been ongoing or talked about or danced around about, but never been given this point of view of how it affects others. And so hopefully I will be able to release it and show it off like next year, because it is a year-long project. And ideally, I want to be able to release it by May 2025. And that's just because like it's such a sensitive matter. I don't want to just rush the product. I really want to make sure like the sound quality is great. People are feeling heard. They feel safe. They feel comfortable speaking about their experience. And going through that process and making sure I do my research as well to be as factual as possible is why I bring people on. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much for doing that important work. And I know for a lot of my followers, they will be maybe not even curious, but maybe would want to, participate, or if they feel like it's a good match for sharing some of the trauma they've experienced, would they be able to reach out to you as a potential guest, or how would that look? What would that look like?
Yes, so like they can always reach out to me with from my email or from like social media, especially on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you're interested, it's just Keyari Page, and you can easily just find me on LinkedIn. Or if you want to do a formal email, because that's more your thing, it's literally my name, both Keyari Page 22@gmail.com. So very interested. I would love to hear everyone's stories and hopefully get you a part of the show if you're interested.
Yeah, awesome. And I will go ahead and make sure that gets bumped to the end, that whole thing with my question and your response. So one of the things that I personally, I'm like, these are all the reasons I invited you on. But one of the things that I have a personal passion for, and that I'm very proud that I'm able to do for my business and my company, is storytelling of people's stories that are often untold. And I know this is very much a personal passion for you. Why?
It's because when I was growing up, it was simply because I didn't see people who looked like me or didn't represent the stories that I wanted to tell. Like when I watched the news, it was like the same news, just with maybe a different angle, or it was always like, Black people were stereotyped, or Asian communities were stereotyped into a one box fit all type of situation. And I wanted to just make more awareness of the fact that we can be more cohesive and we have more depth than what was portrayed in the media when I was growing up. Now, obviously that has changed from time to time, still have a little bit of work to do, but like no one looked like me pushing these narratives and saying these stories. It was always someone else. And I just felt like, well, I'm from the culture, from my Black culture, from my African-American experience. So then I can share that with other people. And then also learning that when I moved to different countries, that like people just consider me American when I open my mouth, will always mistake me as French. So just like learning those things and being able to tell those stories and give people a platform that I wish that I saw when I was young, it means the world to me. So it's just been a mission of mine since I was like a little girl, like 7, to be able to speak on that, to empower other people and to give them that space in that room to go ahead and do that and not be ashamed because they don't see someone.
Well, again, I'll just keep saying thank you for the work you've already done. I know I don't want to like label you as early career, but I can't wait to see. And I know many of the people listening to this probably have, something you've said has inspired them to continue following you. And I think we all can't wait to see not only, we can't wait to see Hands Up, Don't Speak and that come out, but also all the other work you do to continue to share stories that need to be told. So thank you so much for your time. We'd love to know a little bit. I know you shared about Hands Up, Don't Speak, but what's next for you in life?
What's next for me is that like currently I am a migrant worker in the UK. And so hopefully that at one point I don't need to be a migrant worker. I could just be on dual citizenship and with an indefinite leave to remain, and really just push forward with my audio producing and podcasting career. I'm also working on another 2 projects as well. One is more of my spoken word, so I do poetry on the side as well, and that also will be released next year, where that is a collections of poetry that I have written throughout the year called Soulful Redemption, about the stages of grief. And I'm really combining poetry and podcasting into one, and really combining having selective music and all that. It's an exciting project. I wish I could get more, but I can't because I don't want to spoil it. But as well as doing a 15-minute audio docuseries about migrant workers and how they identify as home, which is also, again, making awareness about the difficulties, what it is to be an immigrant, and actually when it is hard to find sponsorship, especially when you're in a climate where the government doesn't want sponsorship, or how do you do that? And how do you find your community? So getting those stories, working with people who was been in my position. I have been blessed to be able to be sponsored in this country. But also like my plan is to just continue freelancing and to be able to become hopefully the biggest audio producer and podcaster in the next 10 years.
Yay. I love that goal. And again, I think for I can really hear how much you are a true social trailblazer, which is what this podcast is all about, especially when it comes to telling stories that need to be told. So, Keyari, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, time, and projects with us. For people that are listening that want to follow you or learn more about the projects you have coming up, how can they follow you? Where can they find you?
So you guys can follow me on my LinkedIn page, which is just simply my name, Keyari Page, easy to find. And then as well as I will be building a website very, very soon that will be, again, my name. And it would just simply show you all my upcoming projects, all of my current projects that have been released, and more information about me. I always accepting clients who wants to work more and to learn how they can get into the audio industry or how they can globalize it and how they can tackle different audiences, because I have worked across German audiences, Spanish audiences, obviously the US, and now in the UK, and just be able to help other people to get their stories to life. So I'm always willing to be on a project and always willing to help you with your presenting skills and whatnot. It's my passion, and I just enjoy doing that. So website coming soon, and then when I release my website, definitely will be on LinkedIn. And then as well as you could just reach me at my email as well for any questions, KeyariPage22@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Keyari.
Into Social Trailblazers. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who are passionate about making a difference. Special thanks to our sponsor, DonorBox, for supporting this podcast and the incredible work of nonprofits everywhere. Join us next time as we continue to dive deep into the motivations of the change makers shaping our world. Until then,